Welcome back to this episode of the Deep Penetration Podcast. In case you don't know who I am, my name is Danny, and I am a love and self-esteem coach that works with the LGBTQIA plus community. More often than not, I work with a lot of gay and bisexual men when it comes to all things self-confidence, self-esteem, embracing self-identity, and really understanding how to navigate and build a healthy, long-term, sustainable relationship. So, that being said, wherever you are listening from or watching, please make sure you are subscribing because it helps me to continue to do what it is that I love to do, which is be here, have conversations with you guys, talk about topics that I think are incredibly important, particularly within the queer community, and provide you guys with some resources and some tools that, I feel is lacking a bit. So again, please make sure you are subscribing if you are enjoying the content. And even if you're not enjoying the content, subscribe anyways. All right. So what are we talking about today? So the topic on the agenda for today is meeting your partner's parents for the first time. So meeting your partner's parents can be incredibly nerve-wracking. I get it. And it doesn't matter if you are queer or straight, there is always this level of pressure that is involved because you want to impress. But for queer men, it can be particularly challenging. And the reason for why is because, every person in the world experiences the world subjectively. So what does subjective mean? So subjective is basically based on or influenced by personal feelings or tastes or opinion, right? And even though you may, let's say for example, you may live in the same city as someone, your experience of that city is going to be very different. You can even be in the same restaurant as someone and have a totally different experience from that person. So your upbringing versus your partner's may be very different. And I often find that the actual meeting isn't the issue. It's the intrusive thoughts and thinking prior to that meeting, prior to walking in that door and seeing them for the first time. So let me give you an example. It is possible that your parents were not, let's say, super understanding, right, when you came out, which resulted in a negative coming out experience. And on a psychological level, it results in a change of perception of your parents because you no longer feel protected or understood or potentially loved by them. This is a subjective experience that can result in having triggers or negative feelings towards parental figures or authority figures, right? So if you are carrying that with you when you are meeting your partner's parents, it is likely that you will be on edge and potentially defensive or off-putting. In the reverse side or on the reverse side, you might have had a very open and your partner may have had a very open and understanding parents, right? Or you may have had very open and understanding parents, and your fears of coming out may have been soothed when your parents' reaction of you was accepting. And maybe your partner's parents are not as accepting of that lifestyle. So this could absolutely make you feel uncomfortable. In fact, it could possibly make you feel like you are reliving your fears of coming out and not being accepted by his parents. So whatever the case might be, it's important that you take some time to reflect on your own personal feelings surrounding authority figures or parental figures so that you can be consciously aware of your mindset and emotions going into the meeting. So the first thing that you want to take into consideration when you are about to meet your partner's parents, or the first thing that you want to do is communicate with your partner. So before meeting your partner's parents, it's important to have a conversation with your partner about their relationship with their parents and any concerns that you may have. I think that this will give you a better understanding of what to expect and how to approach the situation. You should also discuss your own feelings and concerns as well as your expectations for the meeting. When you are discussing your feelings about the situation, it's also very important that you are highly cognizant of what you are saying and how you are saying it, right? Keep in mind, regardless of your partner's relationship with his parents, they're still his parents, and respect is warranted. Call me old school, but I was brought up to be respectful around elders and parents. But that being said, if they are being aggressive or blatantly disrespectful, then I think boundaries are in order at that point. If they are belittling you or your partner, or they are tearing you down, or they are treating you in a way that is less than human, that's a totally different conversation. That's for me, then at that point, the whole, old school mentality of respecting your elders completely goes out the window. So it's important to be on the same page with your partner and to make sure you are both comfortable with the situation. This also brings up a question that I get asked a lot. And it's, what if he isn't out to his parents and he wants to introduce me as a friend? Okay, so if that is the case, there are two things that I will say. Number one, it's not you, right? It is very easy to feel like your partner is hiding you because they are not proud of you. And that's simply not true, to be honest, at least not for a lot of couples. Try to recall your own personal coming out experience and the fears that you had going into it. Your partner technically is risking a lot, is risking being outed by introducing you to his parents, which to me is an indication of how much he actually cares about you. But that also brings up my second point. Patience has its limits, and it is very important to be realistic about your own personal limitations. So if you have already gone through the process of coming out, it can be very difficult for you emotionally and mentally to feel like you're being pushed right back into that closet. So if you also feel like your partner is gaslighting you or guilt tripping you or regarding, your feelings around this, it's important to take a step back and reflect on the relationship and how much you are willing to invest at this point. So the second thing to take into consideration when meeting his parents is be respectful and courteous, right? When meeting your partner's parents, it's so important to be respectful, right? Regardless of their opinions or their beliefs. Because remember, they're still your partner's parents, and it's important to show them respect and kindness. This doesn't mean you have to agree with their views or their beliefs, but it's important to avoid confrontation or conflict. It's also important to dress appropriately for the occasion and to, maybe bring a small gift or a token of your appreciation or something like that, right? This can show your respect and your gratitude for the opportunity to meet them, which nowadays, honestly, it really goes a long way. Believe me, when it comes to that. And again, going back to the whole dressing appropriately, don't be dressing like no hoochie mama when you meet your partner's parents for the first time. Don't be showing up in like assless chaps or something, dress appropriately. So, and again, it depends on the occasion. Maybe you guys are going out to dinner. Maybe you guys are going to a nice restaurant. Or maybe you're meeting them for the first time at like a family event. I get the whole like, well, I should be able to be myself and dress like myself and express myself and do all of these types of things. And look, there's nothing wrong with that. Again, I'm a huge proponent of individuality and all of those things, but there's a time and a place. If you're wanting to get that job, you're not going to show up to an interview wearing like a mesh tank top and short shorts, unless you're working at like a gay bar or something, and that's a little bit different. But I'm talking about like, for example, you're going and you're trying to get that lawyer job, right? You're not going to show up to the meeting or the interview wearing something skimpy or overly revealing or any things like that. You're going to dress for the occasion. Same thing when it comes to meeting your partner's parents. Dress for the occasion. Engage in conversation with them. Ask questions and show interest in their lives and their hobbies. The third thing here is setting boundaries. So while it is important to be respectful and courteous, it's also important to set boundaries and communicate your needs and your expectations. So if the conversation turns uncomfortable or inappropriate, or things are being said that are not okay, right? So maybe like gay slurs or things against your religion or your beliefs or your political views or whatever the case may be, boundaries are definitely in order, and it's important to assert yourself and redirect the conversation. So you should also communicate any concerns or discomfort to your partner and work together to address the situation. It's also important to set boundaries with your partner's parents, particularly if they are not accepting of your relationship. So you should communicate your boundaries clearly and respectfully, again, and make clear that you will not tolerate disrespect or discrimination. And it's important to prioritize your own feelings of safety and to communicate that your partner, to communicate that to your partner. And again, to your partner's parents. Meeting your partner's parents can be challenging. It's super hard when you do that initially. And look, all of these pieces of advice that I'm giving you and all of these tips and all of these recommendations, it's also important to note that there is a certain time and place to apply these things as well. So, for example, if you're meeting your partner's parents for the first time and your partner has expressed to you that maybe his parents are not like the most open about his sexuality or his relationship with you and all of those things, I get how that's going to make you feel uncomfortable right off the bat. But just like they are giving you a chance, give them a chance as well. Don't barge through the door already barking orders and setting boundaries and letting them know how uncomfortable you are and all of these things, because really all you're doing is you're creating more conflict. Now, again, if they come for you, that's a little bit different. There's a phrase in Spanish that goes, no me busca porque me vas a encontrar, which basically means don't look for me because you'll find me. So if they come looking for you, again, that's a very different situation and that's a very different story. If they are being disrespectful, rude, mean, like I said before, then totally different conversation. I understand your need to put up boundaries and to say what you have to say. As a queer man, or a man, it can be particularly challenging, but by communicating with your partner and being respectful and courteous and setting boundaries and doing all the things that you need to do prior to meeting his parents, I think it creates a much better atmosphere and environment for you guys to actually connect and be able to build a good relationship, right? That's really what it's all about. It's really about trying to connect with his parents on a deeper level and show that your relationship with him is okay. It's good, it's healthy, and it's beneficial for the two of you. But again, I also want to say, don't feel like you have to prove yourself. That's not necessary, right? Be you, be respectful, and things will work out the way that they are supposed to work out. Your partner knows his parents. And I feel like if he knew that they were going to be incredibly rude or disrespectful or degrade you, I don't think that he would be putting you in a position to meet them. And if he is, that's a whole different conversation that we should be having. So, all of that to say, if you were going to be meeting his parents for the first time, those are some of the rules or some of the suggestions that I have when you go to do it. I know it can be super nerve-wracking and incredibly scary, but it can also turn out to be a great relationship for all of you guys. I hope you guys found that information to be helpful. I hope you guys found that to be I mean, at least I hope those tips and those recommendations you can take with you if you are in a position right now where you are about to meet your partner's parents. Again, make sure you are subscribing if you are enjoying the episodes, and I will see you guys in the next one.